Hi guys, this is FLN 9, surface area of triangular prisms. So we've been talking a lot about nets and surface area, and I wanted to give you a different way of calculating calculating the surface area of nets. So I have a right triangular prism here. I know that it's a right triangular prism because of this right angle. So these two back and this one back here are both right angles. And what I'm going to do now, instead of breaking this apart into a net, I'm going to look at the different sides, and then I can calculate the surface area of the different sides and then double or triple ones that are congruent. And congruent means identical. So if something is congruent, it means if I superimpose them on top of each other, they will be identical. So to get started here, let's count the faces we have. We have this big front face, that's one. It does not have a congruent shape. There's just one of these big triangles. Then I have the back triangle here, the back rectangle here, so this big front rectangle, this back rectangle, this base rectangle on the bottom, and then the two triangles on either side. And the two triangles on either side are congruent. Those are identical. So let's start by calculating the two right triangles, or calculate one of the right triangles, I should say, and doubling it. So we know that the height is 16 and the base is 12. We do have our units here, but I'm going to forego using units at the minute because it can make it kind of confusing. So the area of the triangle equals 1/2 base times height. So I have 1/2 12 times 16. Okay? Now, on a lot of these, I'll let you guys use calculators because we are going to be using pi, but for this, you can also just do your math off to the side if you still need to do multiplication in the long way. So over here to the side, I can say 16 times 12, right? Again, we don't have our cameraman anymore. So 2 times 6 is 12, carry the 1. 2 times 1 is 2, 3, bring down the 0. 1 times 6 is 6, 1 times 1 is 1, and then I add them. 2, 9, so when I multiply these, I get 192, and then I have to divide it by 2 or multiply it by 1/2. So 192 divided by 2. 2 goes into 19 6 times, right? No, sorry. Oh, almost an arithmetic error there, guys. 2 goes into 19 9 times. 8. I'm left with 1 6. So the area of the triangle is 96 centimeters squared. So now we need to find the area of this front rectangle. So this large front rectangle has one length that is 20, and the other length here, this length here is 10. So what is the area of this large rectangle? It's 20 times 10, base times height. And so that's 200 centimeters squared. Next, let's find the area of this bottom triangle that's here on the bottom here. So, or rectangle, keep intermusing those, sorry guys. Rectangle. So this is this side. Now let's do this side. And it's 12 by 10. So I've got 12 by 10 centimeters. And when I find area of this is base times height, it's 120 centimeters squared. I have now this last side up here, the back of the prism, and this back one has a length of 16. Make sure I'm on here. It's 16, and this length here, which is 10. So the area of this back rectangle is 10 times 16, base times height, which is 160 centimeters. Now, in order to find the area total, the surface area total, I need to add up all the different parts. So I'm going to take this back. Well, in the FLN, they started with these triangles, and there are two triangles, right? So I need 96 plus 96 plus this one, this front face here, 20, plus the base here, 120, plus this back side, which is 160, and it's centimeters squared. And I know you guys know how to add those all up together, so you can trust me when I say it's going to be, right? Okay, there was an arithmetic error. I forgot to put the area of this rectangle, which is actually not 20, it's 200 centimeters squared. So it's always a good to check your work a couple times, especially on quizzes and stuff, guys, because it's very easy to make silly, simple errors on these. So I have 96 plus 96, these two triangles. I've got this front face, which is 200 centimeters squared. I've got the base, which is 120 centimeters squared. And I've got this back side, which is 160 centimeters squared. And when I add them together, I get 672 centimeters squared. And that is the surface area of this triangular prism. Okay, the next example was find the surface area of this square pyramid. So on this one, we know that we have the very flat bottom, which is the square. Okay, that's the base. And then we have 4 sides, which are the triangles. So there's 4 congruent sides that make up the triangles. And this is telling us here that this is the altitude of the triangle, right? That's what that, it means it's a right angle, meaning that this is perpendicular to the base, so this is the height of the triangle. And the height is 10 meters, while the base is 7 meters. And this is our base of the square is 7 by 7 meters. So in order to do this one, I first have to calculate the area of that square. So the area of the square is base times height, or base times base. Length times length, doesn't matter. It's going to be 7 times 7, which is 49 meters squared. Okay, so that's this one here. I have 49 meters squared. Okay, now I have to calculate the area of this triangle. Put square there. Area of the triangle is 1/2 base times height. So that's 1/2. And I have for the base 7 meters, and I have for the height 10 meters. Okay, and I know that 7 times 10 is what? So a couple of things about multiplication here. I can do these two. This is the commutative property of multiplication. I know that 7 times 10 is the same thing as 10 times 7. And that's true as well. I know that 1/2 of 7 is the same thing as 1/2 times 7 is the same thing as 7 times 1/2. It doesn't really work with division the same way. So from here, I can either figure out that I need to take 1/2 of 10, and that's a 5, and multiply it by 7, or multiply these together and get a 70 and take 1/2 of that, which is 35. You're going to get the answer the same regardless. So 35 meters squared. So just know that when you're looking at this for quick ways to do math, if you want to take 1/2 of 10 and then multiply that by 7, that's completely acceptable in orders of operation. So for this one triangle, I have 35 meters squared. Now I know for this I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 faces. I have 5 faces. So for surface area, I need to add up all 5 of these faces. So surface area total is going to be area of this square, which was 49 meters squared, plus all 5 of these faces, 35 plus 35 plus 35 plus 35, right? So I've accounted for all of my faces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, these are congruent, meaning these triangles are all identical. All right? And when I add these guys together, I get 189 meters squared. And that's the surface area total of this square pyramid. So, but make sure you box your answer. I'm not going to bore you with the addition, but that's another way, similar to using nets, but more, but a little bit different in that you need to look for congruent parts of the three-directional pyramid or three-dimensional object, and then double or triple those. Thanks.